January 8th, 2024. Happy New Year to everyone. We are going to have Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Dowden Calvillo.
Present.
Amara. Holmes.
Here.
Sierra Sammons.
Present.
And Mayor Riddell Harris.
Here, Councilwoman Dowden Calvillo, will you please lead us in the pledge?
Yes, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh,
Thank you, Councilwoman.
I love.
Okay. We don't have anything on the commendations, proclamations, and acknowledgements. So we're going to go straight to the adoption of the agenda. Unless I hear any objections, I will consider the agenda adopted. Okay, hearing no objections, the agenda has been adopted. Moving on to the consent calendars. All items on the consent calendar are considered to be routine in nature and will be approved by one blanket motion with a roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless persons requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for discussion and separate action. Any items removed will be considered after the motion to be approved, to approve the consent calendar. All right, are there any items that the council would like to remove from the consent calendar? Councilwoman Mara.
Yes, I'd like to remove item number 2, please.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Yes.
Yes, I'd like to remove item 2 and item 5.
Okay, item 2 and item 5. Any other items that need to be removed? Okay, hearing none. Are there any items that the public would like to remove from the consent calendar? Is there any public comment on the consent calendar? Okay, hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Actually, I will ask for adoption of the consent agenda as amended.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
I'll second that.
All right, thank you. Now, Madam Clerk, can you call the roll? Sorry about that.
No problem. Councilmember Dowden Calvillo.
Aye.
Amara.
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye.
Sierra Sammons.
Aye.
And Mayor Riddell Harris.
Thank you. Aye. All right, moving on to item number 2. Councilwoman Amara?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm just calling this out just because I want to introduce our new Placer County Mosquito Vector Control District appointment here. Hopefully she'll be appointed, and she's in the audience, and that is Sandy Bendorf. So anyway, thank you. She's we've usually had well, the last couple of years we've had the council, but it's on a Monday night. So thank you for stepping up. If you're nominated.
We definitely appreciate you offering for your assistance for that. We'll have so many committees and we try to go to them all, but it's always nice when we can get some assistance with some of those. Thank you so much. Okay, is that it for that piece for you?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
Councilman Holmes?
Yes, I would like to be placed back on the traffic committee, as I've got several issues that are going on with them and for which I will discuss later on council committee reports. So I would prefer to be a member of the traffic committee rather than not being on the traffic committee.
Yes, I did put you instead on the SHAC committee. Councilwoman Amara had requested to be on the traffic committee and she had really wanted to be on that. So I switched you out because she wanted a turn being on the traffic committee, and you could still attend the meetings if you'd like, but she really wanted an opportunity to be on the traffic committee. So that's why I switched you with the SHAC committee. So that way, since you had interest in history, I thought that that might be applicable to you as well. So that's.
Yes, well, I've got several issues going on with the traffic committee. I want to be able to complete those.
Just to comment on
Yes,
that.
go ahead.
If I am appointed, I would meet with you, and as our mayor said, you can attend, but I would be happy to talk with you and carry on what you've been doing. And I think you've probably been doing a great job, but I've never had the opportunity, and it would be a wonderful opportunity if I could do that.
All right, well. Okay, I will stop my request to be on the traffic committee as long as I have good support from the traffic committee to,
I'm sure Sandy will support whatever issue you are looking to get accomplished on the traffic committee. Okay. Are there any other issues with the appointments list? that we need to be-
Mayor, I'd just
Yes.
like to make a note for the record. The appointment listed on, for LAFCO is going to be removed from this action as the city representative to LAFCO is made by the city selection committee and not by the individual councils.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Is there anything else? Okay, can I get a motion to,
Madam Mayor, is there any
oh,
public comment?
public comment on this issue? Is there any public comment on these appointments? Hearing none, can I have a motion for the approval of the list as amended?
I'll make a motion to affirm your appointments to the
I'll s-
committees. as
I'll second
proposed.
that. Sorry, I'll second that.
Okay, great. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dowden Calvillo.
Aye.
Amara.
Yes.
Holmes.
aye,
Sarah Sammons.
Aye.
And Mayor Riddell Harris.
Aye. Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 5. Councilman Holmes.
yes, I am in favor of turning all over some of this fire apparati. But I wanted to know where the Central Sierra Regional Occupational Fire Science Program is conducted.
Good evening, council, mayor. To answer Councilman Holmes's question, Central Sierra ROP program is in El Dorado County. That's the closest ROP program to the city of Auburn.
Okay, and will that help train future firefighters for the city of Auburn?
So that's the start of their fire service exposure. And after that program, if they continue on, they would research a regional fire academy. And then from there, that's where they would seek interest. So yes, there is a potential that we could see students from El Dorado County.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Just since the topic came up, can you just outline what's being donated, just so the people in the meeting understand what we're donating?
Absolutely. I believe in the attachment, there's approximately 20 structural firefighting coats and 20 structural firefighting pants. And per NFP 1851, they've exceeded their recommended service life.
Great, thank you so much. All right, are there any other
I
comments?
just have
on
a quick question since
ahead.
the item was removed from consent. I just wonder, how, have we been doing this a long time? Have we been contributing our outdated PPE to this particular ROP unit?
So this is a new ROP program that we've donated to. In the past, we donated to the 49er ROP program, which we actually cooperated with them, and they ran their program out of our fire station.
But they no longer do that?
They no longer exist.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Hmm.
Yeah, I thought that we donated locally, so that was a little bit unclear. Okay, thank you so much. I'm glad we are finding them a new home.
Okay, are there any other comments? Okay, hearing none. Is there any public comment? Okay, taking it back. Does anyone have a motion?
I'll move that
Madam
we
Mayor?
authorize the city property of surplus equipment and donation to the ROP Fire Science Program.
Second,
Okay, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dowden Calvillo.
Aye.
Amara.
Yes.
Holmes.
aye,
Sarah Sammons.
Aye.
And Mayor Riddell Harris.
Thank you so much. Okay, moving on to public comment. This is a time provided so that the public may speak to the council on any item not on this agenda. Please make your comments brief, not to exceed 3 minutes. The council cannot act on these items that are not on the agenda, but the item may be referred to staff or placed on a future agenda. Is there any public comment? Come on up. Please state your name.
Delphi Whittle.
Oh, can we hear her on the,
Can you hear me
not yet?
now?
There we
Oh,
go.
wow, I
There
have
we
to
go.
get close. Okay.
Perfect.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you tonight. My name is Delphi Whittle, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Auburn Union Teachers Association regarding the proposed boundary changes and the transition of all schools to TK8 in our district. This affects the city of Auburn in many ways. Some of the concerns are as follows. One, there are going to be traffic issues, especially at EV Kane, due to major changes in the number of vehicles that drop off and pick up. Second, we are inevitably going to lose families that do not want their children to attend TK8 schools. Three, there will be a decline in the community's confidence in AUSD as they are not being included in the decision-making process. Four, there will be a financial impact to the community in general as families move their children to adjoining districts. And last, the loss of EV Kane as a comprehensive middle school affects sports, music, and accelerated classes for the students attending Placer High School. As a side note, we don't believe that Placer Union High School District has been consulted regarding the AUSD Board's decision. Again, thank you for this opportunity to share what is going on in the AUSD community. We hope to partner with the city to find solutions for the betterment of the Auburn community and to continue this conversation in the future. On a side note, Councilwoman Sierra Salmons, it's nice to see you in public service again. We're very lucky to have you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. City Manager, would it be possible for us to reach out to the school district and also to the Teachers Association to see if we could get presentations on what's happening and how that is going to be impacting the city and
Yeah.
There's a big change happening that's impacting most of our citizens, or at least a good portion of them. I'd like to just be able to ask questions and get some more detailed
Sure.
information.
Yeah, I'll reach out and see if they can come on the 22nd.
Great, thank you. Is there any other public comments? Okay, with that, we're going to close public comment. All right, moving on to business. Item number 9, the creation of the Public Works Director position and approval of related job description and approval of and authorization to enter into employment agreement with Mengeldine.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is one of the kind of fun things you get to do as city manager. So having worked here for 6 months now, I've been on this sort of review of where we're at with our staff and figuring out departments and who should be doing what, and just looking at kind of organizationally how things are fitting. And one of the biggest issues I realized that we need to address is in our Public Works Department, and the fact that Mengel is serving as Public Works Manager but not Director. So he doesn't really have the authority that he needs to do the work that he needs to do. And the work that he's doing, the actual duties that he's working on, sort of surpass what the manager level is. And so before you tonight is a modification to that. So staff's recommendation to council is to adopt the resolution that's attached to your packet, creating the Public Works Director position, approving the job description for that position, and authorizing the city manager to modify the fiscal year 23-24 City of Auburn budget position control listing to reflect that change. And then also to adopt the attached resolution approving and authorizing the city manager to enter in an employment agreement with Mengeldine for the Public Works Director position. So Mengel's worked for the city since 2015. He was originally promoted to the Public Works Manager position in 2021. Since that time, he's consistently excelled in that position, but as I noted, his duties really go beyond the Public Works Manager position and line up more with what a director position would be. And so, for example, he's involved in managing streets and roads, facilities, wastewater treatment and collection, storm drain system, transit, and also works in the landfill area as well. So before you have the proposed job description employment agreement, the employment agreement, I need to run through the kind of salient terms of that. And so key points to that employment agreement include the following: it's annual salary of $170,352, cell phone allowance of $90 per month, city paid contribution to deferred compensation of 1% of annual base salary, city provided automobile, and then the standard PERS, health, dental, vision benefits that our other department directors receive. Those benefits line up with the recently adopted executive pay resolution that we brought to council, I think in December. Total for the total fully loaded budgeted compensation cost for that reclassification would be approximately 227,000, which is an increase of approximately 29,000 from the current classification, but the overall impact to the city's general fund is only about 14,500 because of the budgeted salary allocations and direct project costing to other funds. That's kind of all that I have. I can answer questions if you have specific questions.
Are there any questions? Nope. There's no questions? Okay. Is there any public comment on this item? Okay, hearing none. Okay.
I appreciate the city manager's assessment of our staffing situation. And I just want to thank you very much for taking a look at, the entire organization. We've made a lot of changes over the past 6 months. As we know, some people have gone, some people have come. And so I do appreciate. Sorry, guys didn't give me the heads up that my mic was off. Anyway, I do appreciate that you've taken that comprehensive look. I also note that this is a reclassification of an existing position. So we're not going to keep the Public Works Manager position. We're going to replace it with this Public Works Director position. So the impact to our bottom line is minimal versus creating a Public Works Director position, going out and recruiting, and whether or not Menjel was hired into it and still having that Public Works Manager position. So I appreciate, again, you're taking a look at the staffing situation and making these determinations and what's best for the organization. So thank you very much.
Yeah, that's a good point. Just to note too, that we will be marking that Public Works Manager position vacant in our salary schedule, unfunding it, and then in the next round of the budget, we'll remove it completely.
That brings up actually a question for me. So if we have a director level position and we're getting rid of the manager level position, do we have other positions that we are making sure that we're training appropriate staff so that way they could backfill? I mean, it's important for us to have succession planning going on. And so I just didn't know if we still have that in mind while we're doing this.
Yeah, we do. So we have Natalie Hampton works in Public Works. She's a project manager and also works on the transit side. So she's obviously managing folks as manager, right? Succession planning in our organization has sorely been lacking, frankly. And so this is one of the things that we really need to start focusing on, is making sure that we don't get in a situation where somebody either retires, moves on, whatever happens, that we have people ready to backfill if they're ready. And if they're not ready, then they're not. But trying to make sure that we have folks that are ready to go.
Okay, yeah, because making sure you have the positions set up
Right.
is really important. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, open for someone to move.
I'll make a motion by resolution to create the Public Works Director position and to approve the job description for that position as proposed, and to authorize the city manager to modify the FY 23-24 budget control listing to reflect the change, and also by resolution to approve and authorize the city manager to enter into an employment agreement with Menjel Dean for the Public Works Director position.
I'll second that.
Lots of seconds. All right. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dalton Calvillo.
Aye.
Aye.
O'Meara. Holmes.
Aye.
Sierra Salmon.
Aye.
And Mayor Vidal
Aye.
Harris.
Motion carries. Okay, moving on to item number 10.
Congratulations.
You're very enthusiastic. Congratulations, Benjel. We're very excited to have you as director. Okay, moving on to item number 10, the Old Town ARPA project update and amendment number 3 for on-call engineering.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, council members. Jonathan Wright, Community and Economic Development Director. I tried to give a little extra background, especially for those people that have not been here that long, and for the public that may not have been tuned in and following how things have gone with this project thus far. I do want to note that we have the two projects. We have the Old Town ARPA funding, which is the American Rescue Plan Act funds that we're obligated to spend by the end of 2026. We have it for Old Town and we have for Downtown. The Downtown's project is underway. It's going. We're in data collection right now with the company that was hired to do that for their wayfinding master plan and circulation suggestion master planning. And so that we anticipate getting data out of at the end of this month. And so that one's moving right along on time. The goal obviously for that one is to get together a funding amount that we can move into capital for the next fiscal year and then get that program so we meet our obligations under ARPA. Same obligation here, except right now we're still trying to get our project approved. Okay. Oh, this is a new one. All right, let's try it again. Even better. Okay. I'm not going to take you to the beginning of ARPA, but I will take you back to the beginning of this project as far as the public outreach is concerned. So back in the 2022 timeframe, John Donlevy held several public meetings regarding the projects that are available and the type of things that could possibly happen with the ARPA funds. Two of them took place here. One of them took place on site. They were published meetings. In that, there was a survey that the public was able to take. It identified in the survey, it was a lot of the items from a streetscape master plan from 1992. So it was an older plan. But you can clearly see that the Head and Shoulders winner was the Washington Plaza project, then followed up by the Fireman's Park project. So for those of you that aren't familiar, Washington Plaza is about a 2,000 square foot open space area. Basically, it's the proverbial curb extensions that basically narrow down large stretches of asphalt. It makes better use of those spaces. It makes it safer for pedestrians. And of course, with something as large an area as we have in Old Town, you can really get kind of that downtown feel. Now, this is a graphical representation. This is not what the end result looks like. It could, but not the end of everything. What we're asking you for today will help develop that part of it. But at least as far as from a standpoint, you can get a feel for what that would do. It would increase an area next to the Old Town Post Office, or former post office. Say that. Sorry, Mike. But that would provide an area that they could actually have live music where they currently already have live music. And then across the way there's added seating for people to come and recreate. This shows a fire pit. There could be any number of types of public art or whatever would go in that square there, which would be developed. And of course, anybody sitting there would have the view of the courthouse right up top there to look at. So in November of 2022, the city council did approve the second amendment to the Coastland contract, which tonight, just to clarify, we are coming back for the third. The second one was to scope a lot of the preliminary stuff for this project, field surveying, topographic, utilities, and so forth. So that's been complete. I believe in discussion with the city engineer, the idea was to take in that whole area, especially with the Washington Square, as well as the Firehouse Park area there, in case one project didn't work out, they had a fallback plan. Oops, wrong button. What I do? All right, so after John resigned, we had Joan Felipe come in, and I believe her intent was not to move the ARPA projects forward, just because when you have a new city manager coming on, you have different leadership. A lot of times, especially from a leadership position, you have a project that started, you have a new leader that comes in, and sometimes those projects can change. I think she really wanted this ARPA project to fall to the next city manager, which of course is Sean Rebay. We immediately, upon his arrival it was June, his arrival, let him get in a seat, get a seat warm. And then by July, we were talking to the Old Town Business Association and had our first meeting with them on August 2nd regarding moving these ARPA funds forward and figuring out exactly what their vision was. Contrary to what the survey work found, the Old Town Business Association stated that they would like to work on Fireman's Park. Knowing that this project had to be moving as fast as possible, staff gathered together planning agency or planning firm and presented to the council on September 11th regarding the project, that this project had been selected and that we're working with it. However, after that project, after that presentation, concerns were raised regarding traffic circulation and possible Caltrans coordination. And a lot of that has to do with the alteration to the traffic flows down in that area. If you see the red blob in the middle would be where the new firehouse park would go, which would take up the end of Sacramento Street, which just from the arrows, I tried to do a basic depiction, would force people to go all the way around to Park Street, then come back out on Lincoln and loop back through if they were going to, or if they're just pulling out of any of the businesses over there, they could no longer go across Sacramento and up the hill. They would then be forced to go down to Park Street and then either go up Sacramento or go up Maple there. The thing is, when you're looking at this, there's obviously some safety issues that would be surrounding the Park Street intersection. We all know that that's a very high-speed intersection, necessitating the coordination with Caltrans on what we're trying to do, because again, we're increasing the loading over there. And then without knowing what type of park it's going to be at this point, it could be a passive park where you have outdoor seating, people can show up, enjoy the day, relax, or an active park, which there was some suggestion towards putting youth type activities like splash pads and things out there, which becomes an active park in which people actually would seek that out. So they'd be looking for it, trying to find it, and then trying to find parking, which would successfully greatly increase the circulation around that. Long story short, in looking at it, we realized that that project's not off the table. That project is going to take more time than what we have with the ARPA funds. And so we communicated this to the Old Town Business Association, and oops, that's what that's for. Came back to the original one and started looking closer at the Washington Plaza project. That one does not have the same traffic implications. It narrows down the right-of-way. Transit will be addressed through the engineering firms as far as curb radius and so forth and right-of-way widths, but it does not force additional traffic down into the Park Street roadway system over there. This one is the proverbial, like I explained before, curb extensions that come out, narrow the travel way down. And because we have such a big area out there, creates kind of a downtown square feel. We've been communicating with the Old Town Business Association throughout this process. They understand the timelines. They understand the struggle that we've had to get a project underway and get it to the point where we can actually move it forward. And tonight's action is to authorize Coastland Engineering to start the actual engineering design work for this. Again, we have the pre-work done, so we know topography for drainage, storm, or existing utilities underneath. But this would be the next step with actually designing the plaza area itself. So looking ahead, so if this passes tonight, we would immediately notify Coastland that they would begin on the design work for that. That would include at some point looping back with the Old Town Business Association and stakeholders, really talking about the amenities they would like to see within that space out there. At some point in the next couple months, we'd have an engineer's cost that would be developed for those, which is the most important thing because we do have limited funds. And so we really need to figure out what we can do with the amount of funds that we have. Is it the whole project, depending on what the amenities are? Is it part of the project? We want to get something complete. Now, if it's not both sides of the curb extensions, maybe it's one side, we would look at that. And I anticipate probably coming back to council in April with a plan and a project that's been vet by Old Town Business Association, as well as stakeholders, and then would return to you just for viewing and comment. After that, if we didn't see any level of opposition from council or from the public, other than just general concerns that could be vet in through this process, we would then return it to Public Works to be bid. It would once again return to you to award a contract to whoever the bid recommended for award to, and then it would once again come back to you to accept the improvements once they're complete. So staff tonight's recommending that the council by resolution authorize Amendment 3 with Coastland Engineering contract to develop the plans for the Washington Park Plaza project using the ARPA funds. Mayor, back to you.
Thank you. That was a great presentation. Like that you went back and did all the history because it's been a long process that we've been going through to
has.
get to this.
And pulling those things out, remembering everything has been fun.
Before we continue to questions, I just wanted to note that this doesn't approve this project. This just approves the engineering for this project. This project would need to go back through a public process to make sure that it is approved. It would significantly change look and feel of Old Town, which is a historic area. And so we would want to have historic design review, and we would want to make sure that the public, not just the local public, not just those in Old Town, but the entire community is comfortable with those kinds of changes and knows about them. We don't want anyone getting upset when we start ripping up Old Town. So we would want to make sure that everyone is on board with that before we move forward with that. So are there any questions?
I have comments, but I don't have any. Well, I guess I do have questions.
Okay.
I guess more of a comment, but really, I appreciate the drawings and so forth. Is there an opportunity to ensure that, or would there be an opportunity to have tiles incorporated into the design itself? And when I say tiles, I mean like the shack tiles.
Right.
So the engraving of the tiles, because I know that when we did the original streetscape plan, it had tiles going in front of City Hall and I think in Old Town as well. So I don't know if this would be the appropriate time to incorporate that, but I'd really like to have the opportunity to have tiles put in there. And when I say put in there, I mean to have them engraved there in place. So whatever, flooring, or what, is put in there, I'd like to be able to incorporate those tiles too. I think that'd be a great idea so that we can recognize some of the historical figures in Auburn and Old Town as well. And it would give it more of a cohesive feel as well. So, and the other thing is, as our mayor indicated, this is an historic area, of course. And again, this may not be the appropriate time, but I would very much like to see the project have historical characteristics to it. So I understand there's the brick benching and so forth. And I'm sure that can be done to have that historic feel, that look and feel, just because it is in Old Town. But so just, that's it. Thank you.
Councilwoman Amaro?
Yes.
Just the funding for ARPA has to be spent, actually, the project has to be completed by 2025.
2026.
2026, okay. And so this gives us enough time then, even with public input, to be able to get the whole project and the money spent, you think?
Without any further hiccups, we could definitely get this project done.
Okay. And so the amenities, again, we'll have public comment and that'll go back, and that's something that will be decided later on. Is that?
We got to figure out the total area. We have had some preliminary assessment done on what the square footage could be, getting that lined out, getting, where storm drains are going to go and everything put into place, and then figuring out how much usable area there is with ADA access and so forth would narrow down that space to being, okay, this is what we have to work with, and then working on what fits there.
Good. And then the engineering then is just really, in terms of financial, that's a minor amount. They'll have plenty, I think it's on here, there'll be 431,500 approximately to spend for the actual project. To get
And I added contingency to it just because you never know.
And I don't know if you want comments now or comments.
Sure, we'll just do comments.
Yeah, so I just want to say, I am the liaison and I've attended all those meetings. I appreciate you going back in time. There was a lot of outreach. There was a lot of input, and I want to thank you for your patience and the way you were handled the public, and were able to come around to a very nice project that everybody seems very content with. So I appreciate that a lot. And I do like this project. Okay. With the additions mentioned by Councilman Dowden Cavill.
Yep. Councilman.
Yes, well, I just wanted to mention that I met with Congressman Kiley yesterday afternoon, and I wanted to assure people that his office is working on trying to reopen the Station A post office in Old Town. And I know that it's mentioned on the draft photographs, but I want to keep that open so that we don't forget about that as this moves forward.
All right, Councilwoman Sierra Salmon?
Yes. Thank you so much for the background. I thought it was really interesting to see that this was actually thought of a couple decades ago,
Right.
and we finally have the opportunity to go through with this. So exciting to see that. I know with ARPA funds, it's time is of the essence. So I'll be quiet now.
I just had a couple of quick questions. You put a survey up there that said 42% of the people who surveyed wanted this project. Do you know how many people that was that took the survey?
There was, of that survey, I think it was 19, but if
Okay.
you recall, there was about close to 50 people that attended those. John had it set up so you had to use your cell phone. I believe that was
Yeah,
confusing
we
for
voted
some.
on this.
Confused.
in the
Yeah, I was
audience.
in the room. Yeah.
And so it didn't get as many hits as it probably should have. But that was the data we had available.
Okay, great. Does this have an impact on parking? Because that's always the question people ask when you
So
change.
there's 5 parking spaces in front of the Old Town, in front of Auburn Ale House. The way this is set up, and again, this is just going from the preliminary analysis, we would be losing those spaces, but we could replace them with on-street parking along the side there, so that the net loss is 2 spaces.
Great. Obviously, we'll want to include stakeholders that aren't just in Old Town, and we'll want to do outreach through multiple channels. So we don't have, because in-person meetings are harder for families and others to go to. So as much as we can make sure we're doing that outreach and different media through social media and other
Maybe
places, that would be great.
Engage the journal and we get to the point where we actually have something to show.
Yeah, make sure that we kind of just spread it out a little bit further. Because this is just something that everyone enjoys and everyone goes to Old Town. And so it's not necessarily just an Old Town issue. When we start talking about amenities, I'd like to see if we can add some family-friendly things. Seating with brick is not terribly family-friendly. And so just trying to figure out how we can, I liked the Fireman's Park because it had some active things that kids can do. There isn't a lot that is very family-friendly down kids. I mean, it's kind of busy down there and it's not a great place for kids to hang out. So I'd like to be able to have families be able to utilize it more in Old Town. So if there's any way of incorporating more family-friendly things. And on the drawings, there was brick, but it was kind of on the inside. It wasn't where the traffic would be. So I want to make sure that we have some kind of guard on the outside where the traffic would be to make sure that there's some more protection as it's going to be out just in the middle of the intersection. The other thing is I just want to make sure that this project can be completely covered by the cost. I know that there was some talk about having volunteers do some of the work, and safety wise and then union wise, other things, it's just that they could, build benches or, planter boxes as they have in the past, but I want to make sure all the infrastructure cost is covered by this project as we move forward.
Which would be scoped during this phase. So
Yeah.
we know exactly, not exactly, we have engineers' estimates that give you a pretty good idea of what ballpark is to current market.
Yeah.
And so at that point, we would know if we had to phase it or if we could afford to do the whole thing and figure those pieces out.
Great. All right, that's all I had. Is there any public comments?
Madam Mayor, because I know I kind of asked questions or
go
gave
ahead.
a little bit of direction, but I just wanted to say that I do appreciate the proposed project. This is really just sort of a draft, but I like the fact that it is consistent with what is downtown. And I know that there's been a lot of discussion over the years from folks in Old Town and just Auburn in general that I've had with folks saying they would love to see something like the Central Square concept in Old Town. And this kind of is that. And I really like that for the opportunity to really have that, defined area for particular events. I like the fact that it also helps to realign that space for traffic purposes. And we'll all remember how the Central Square project cleaned up that crazy intersection that we had. It was the Y intersection. And when you took your driver's test, everyone had to go through it because it was just so strange. But all of that work really fixed that intersection and you didn't just have this crazy open space. And so, this project would also address that issue by really making it very clear there's a four-way stop there. And so I think that in its own right makes it more safer for folks that are down there, for families and so forth. But really having that centralized location where you can have activities and bring folks down like we have in Central Square. We do so many activities now. You know, they play music, they have so many different events, and it is very welcoming. And I'm very excited to have that same kind of feel in Old Town. I know that there's Herschel Park, and that's a wonderful location, but it is really kind of on the side. And so this really is that Central Square look and feel. And I think it's just going to be a tremendous asset to Old Town. So I'm very excited about this phase in the project and as we move forward. So, yeah, thank you.
All right. Oh, can we do public comment first and then we'll do final comments? Okay, sorry. Is there any public comment on this item? Oh, go ahead. Come on up.
My name's Connie Brocker and welcome. Greetings, Mayor and council people.
Thank you.
I just want to say, I think it looks really wonderful. I was just wondering on maybe a comment of, I was thinking about old Sacramento and how it has the wooden walkways and the overhangs. And I was thinking that on that part that sticks out there in front of the ale house, if you could do like even a covering, because when they do the summer activities down there, it gets really hot. And I was thinking if they did like a gazebo kind of a feel, and I don't know if you want to do like a decking. I don't know if you want the brick and decking together, but I was just thinking that I don't remember a lot of brick long ago. It was more wood that was used, but anyway, I was just thinking about that. So thank you very much. It looks exciting.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other public comment?
And I would like to note for the council, we do have the Old Town Business Association chairperson here, Brad, in case there's any questions
Okay.
for them.
Great.
Oh,
Okay.
Hello. Brad Baldwin, Sierra Moon and Old Town Business Association president. So, yeah, we've been, going through the hoops. I know you guys are briefed on most of it, and Jonathan nailed everything pretty much. So we've met with Menjel and also Michael Ken Murphy. We've kind of done a roundtable discussion. We've gone back and forth on the parks, but we've all narrowed it down to this Washington Park. I guess that's the first I've heard of that name. So it's kind of been floating around on names, but we all know Central Square type spot. So yeah, Menjel was kind of like the driving force with traffic flow. And that's kind of where we all went yes to this project, because making sure that we don't have any more concerns coming off the freeway. That was like the biggest hurdle. And I think the Firehouse Park was going to cause that. And so we kind of was nice to kind of spin back and figure out best case scenario. So yeah, we're looking forward to moving a project forward. We've met as a board and as a general. We want to do it, right? We want to have something actually happen. So that's where we're at in Old Town.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good evening, Council. Saul Brocker. I just want to say I think it looks like a really cool project, and I liked Councilwoman Alice Dowden Calvillo's idea of adding the tiles. I think that would be definitely a good thing to add in. So
Great. Thank you. Is there any more public comments?
Hello, Michael Murphy, architect. So thank you for your recognition for this park. It's something that has only been in the works for 30 years. And fortunately, funding's going for it. We put together a group of 5 or 6 people coming up with some other ideas too, besides this. And we even said, well, we've talked about different areas, and we came up with 30 areas in Old Town that pathways and signage and different areas that could use a little upgrading. And so we made a map, And one of our members made a nice Google map that you can see that lists about 30 projects that are in Old Town, kind of a master plan outline. And so we probably will be bringing that forward unofficially, so that indeed a lot of people can get involved. And then when monies become available, or if you allow volunteers, like we've done almost all the other projects in town as volunteers, if you allow that, we have a lot of clubs and a lot of different organizations that would like to participate and build things. And I will note some of the things that they have built in the past, about 15 projects on the map, so that you have an understanding of the history of Old Town and how, we've trying to make it better. And so we'll be coming forward in the future for something like that. I'll answer any questions.
Nope. And I'm sure that Menjo would like you to see the list because he's responsible for all the upkeep of most of those areas. So I think that would be great so he can see if any of those fit into his budget.
Yes, he and other city staff have been kind of involved in looking at it. So they're aware it won't hit them broadside.
Great.
Long range planning.
Great.
So, and I don't know how you'd want us to present it to you. If you want to have just an information item in a month or so or something like that, it'll probably take about 15 minutes to show the map, discuss the different areas, see what else we can have, and a process for accomplishing it.
Well, if you could work with Menjo and the city manager, they can figure out the best way of bringing that back to us.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other public comment? All right, seeing none. Are there any final comments? Yes, Councilwoman Mar.
Yeah, I was just, everyone was talking about the design and I think it's early on, but while we were talking about the way downtown is designed, there are little streetscape there. We also have the design in the road, which I think is really nice, the stamps. So I don't know how much the cost of that, but I think that would be kind of interesting to do down there too.
The city logos.
Yeah, the city logo. And then of course the landscaping that Auburn Uptown has with pots and the trees and vegetation and landscaping is beautiful part of it. So I hope we don't miss out on that and just make it concrete. So that's my thought there, but I do like the connection from downtown and Old Town. And I also like the fact that we're getting people out together, the community. I'm a fan of pedestrian expansion and people getting out there. So wonderful.
They're gonna have bike racks down there too. Remember there was
exactly,
a
bike rack and possibly a bike locker. So
yeah.
that's exciting. So anyway, thank you very much again. A wonderful project.
Great. Anybody, would you like to make any comments? Okay, I would just make a quick comment that I think that this looks like it could be a really great project. I think that we need to make sure that it fits within the budget that's allowed and that it meets the needs of the entire community, that it's going to be, that utilizes Old Town and meets everyone's needs. Also to make sure that it's very purposeful. One thing about the Central Square area is that we have some big brick structures that didn't end up being used for the purpose they were intended and are kind of blocking walkways. And so we just need to make sure that we have the right flow of traffic and we aren't putting a bunch of brick right in the middle of the places people are trying to walk to. So we should just make sure that when we're looking at it, that we're making it very purposeful and adding things in the places that we know that there's not going to be flow of traffic and things like that. Because there's pretty things, but sometimes pretty things get in the way of people actually utilizing the spaces as well as possible. So, but other than that, I'm looking forward to getting this out in the community, hearing everyone's feedback and moving forward to see what happens next. So thank you very much.
Okay, Mayor Del Harris, there is a resolution, on this item.
Okay,
for consideration.
great.
I'll move.
So would you like to?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that the Old Town ARPA project update and amendment number 3 for on-call engineering.
I'll second.
Okay. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Down Calvillo.
Aye.
Amara.
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye.
Sarah Sammons.
Aye.
And Mayor Del Harris.
Aye. All right, moving on to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So just to tie back to your comment about the big brick structure and Central Square, Menjel and I are looking at that to figure out what we need to do to take it out because it's not serving any purpose other than clogging up Central Square. So we're looking at.
It's that big pedestal that.
We,
Right.
we did
I
check
thought
with
you
the art.
wanted your statue on there.
I did,
Uh-huh.
but that was vetoed by Mengel.
We did check with the Arts Commission and they said that it would cost so much to get an art piece that would scale that large that it'll never happen. And it is being used, even though it says do not climb, it's being
It is
used as
a
a jungle
climb.
gym. And so it's just not safe.
Mengel's
Okay.
is angling for his
It would be
bust.
nice to have an actual climbing structure for children there, but that one doesn't work. So.
So just a couple things really quick, actually more than a couple, but, so I wanted to congratulate, Captain and Acting Battalion Chief Matt Gell, who's been selected as the 2023 Firefighter of the Year. Matt joined the fire department as a lateral fire captain in August of 2021. And since joining, he's demonstrated dedication to our organization, consistently striving to improve both on and off duty. And this is my little sideline. He also has the best mustache in the game.
Firefighters.
Yeah, sorry. Our police department's been nominated for Event of the Year by the Auburn Chamber of Commerce for National Night Out in partnership with Lindsay Dolson of Lindsay's Cleaning Service. So that will be announced at the Chamber's installation dinner on the 26th, I believe.
Mhm.
And then also Auburn Police Department finished 2023 with 162 DUI arrests, which is a 35% increase compared to 2022. And 2 officers are responsible for the majority of those DUI arrests, which earned them the MAD Award for 2023. Work has resumed on the High Street Sewer Infrastructure Project. So you remember that work was temporarily put on hold during the holiday season to prevent negative impacts to the businesses there. So that's started back up. And then similarly, our sewer department's conducting some emergency sewer work in support of the Caltrans roundabout project. There was an active sewer manhole there that Caltrans decided to bury under 6 feet of dirt that they didn't identify and lift up. So the manhole cover is literally 6 feet down, which doesn't work very well. So that's going to get fixed here. We received 4 proposals for the energy savings RFP that we released back in, I think, October, November. Staff's vetting those proposals with an anticipated council agenda coming to you in February. And then last but not least, one of our not so secret businesses, Specialized Bicycles, picked up their building permit recently for renovations to their building. So they are making their mark in town and expanding that business out or that building out. Not retail, Jonathan says. Although maybe we'll get there.
Okay,
Any next questions?
thanks. Any questions for John? Okay, great. Thank you for that report. Okay, moving on to council reports. Councilwoman Dowden Covio, would you like to go first?
Sure. So during the holidays, really didn't have too many committees or commissions meetings. So, but I did want to just let the council know that I will be participating in Cap to Cap this year on behalf of Pioneer Community Energy. I am the chair. So I will be going and I will be on the wildfire team, which is now an actual team versus just a subcommittee of another team. So that's very exciting that this is now one of their core issues that they will be tackling. And so I will be on that. As you know, Pioneer is a huge advocate and proponent for biomass, which goes hand in hand with forest management. So looking forward to getting back involved in that issue and just wanted to let you know. And then I've got Pioneer next week. I've got PCTPA coming up in a couple of weeks, SACOG as well. So, and I know the League of Cities, we had our Sacramento Valley Division Board meeting today, and we're talking about our Friday meetings where we have programs, and there will be a program on police recruit and retention coming up, I believe, in March. So I'll let you know about that. And if our city manager wants to attend that as well. It's one of the programs, but we're going to talk about extreme weather, and there's a couple of other issues as well. So that's it.
Okay, great. Councilwoman Sarah Sammons?
Well, I'm looking forward to serving on committees so that I'll have something to
Yeah,
report
I
on
did-
next
I
meeting.
didn't know if there was anything else that was going on around.
No,
that.
hopefully everyone had a nice, enjoyable break. Good to see everyone back and getting back in the swing of things.
Just as a note too, we reserve this time if there's any issue that you'd like to bring up that we would want to bring back at a later council meeting. This is a good time to bring those back too, just so you know.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So far,
So good.
Okay, great. Councilman Holmes?
Yes, well, I've got a couple of things that I mentioned earlier. I've been working on some projects with the traffic committee. One of which is the Nevada Street bike lane that ends before it gets to the next street up. And so I'm going to the meeting of the cemetery district tomorrow to talk to them about allowing us to widen Nevada Street sufficiently to complete that bike lane all the way up to Fulweiler. And also from the Sustainability Committee, I'd like to see what we have in terms of for what the city owns as far as electric vehicles and natural gas powered vehicles and so forth, and what the existing status is of places in the city of Auburn for EVs to recharge. And I know there's been some work done on that, but I haven't seen it in a full report on how that works. But so those are a couple of things that I'll be continuing to work on. And
Madam Mayor, on the issue of the EV chargers, I didn't report this, but it's sort of a side issue. The city's been in contact with Tesla. Actually, Tesla contacted us about putting some chargers in downtown.
Mhm.
And it was something that I was working on as mayor, so I'm still working on, we're looking at a private businesses lot and to bring in hybrid chargers, so you'd have some short-term and long-term Tesla chargers. And they have chargers up at the Foothill Bowl.
Bowling alley, yeah. Mhm.
And they get about, during the high season, 8,000 charges a month.
Yep. I've been talking about trying to bring chargers in Auburn like
8,000,
that for a while.
And I mean, during the non-time, it's 5,000 to 6,000. So if we just have 200 in downtown, that is great. So we are working on some of that.
Well, I would like to be brought in on that since that's what I do for my day job. So I would definitely have some thoughts on charging. And I've been bringing that up probably for the last 3 years about how we could best get some chargers in town so we can get some tax revenue from that, because it is a good tax revenue. Roseville does pretty well. They have, I think, 3 or 4 different banks of chargers and
Oh,
they're
they have
huge
a
in
lot.
Roseville.
Yep.
But it does help with some tax revenue for the area. So yeah, I definitely, and then that's the other thing is Menjel. I know I had talked before about have an EV plan. So I don't know if we can get a progress report on an EV for fleet, and then also what's going on with public charging in the area. That would be great. Thank you. Okay, is that it? Or do you have more?
well, yes, I wanted to find out what the usage is on the city-owned EV charging stations are as far as and what, are they being used enough so that we can make decisions on where we want to put some additional ones and so forth?
They can get us the information on the fast chargers. The non-fast chargers, I don't think are smart enough that we have the data on those, because they are just basically like an electrical outlet, like the one here at City Hall. And then do we have another? Yes, the Nevada. So those are the ones that we wouldn't have data on, because it's basically just like having an outlet, so we don't track it.
Yeah.
So, but the smart ones that we have in downtown, we definitely have that information that could be provided. Great. Okay, for me, there wasn't a lot going, oh, sorry, Councilwoman Amara, I apologize. No, go ahead.
Downtown Business Association Board met, and we just talked about the Wayfarer sign that's going on. Soapbox Derby is coming in the spring. I think April 20th it'll be. We'll have it way up by the station and go down. It'll be fun. It'll be a festival and food trucks, and it'll be a great time. I'll keep you apprised of that. The clock tower, we're trying to get it lit up, and that's it. There's a board meeting coming up. Sustainability actually met just before Christmas, and it's been a while, but I'll try and read my notes and see if I can decipher them. So let's see, there's they talked about the bike lane master plan. We have a grant, there's a $400,000 grant for a Safe Street grant. So there's discussion on that. Auburn Trails Alliance attended, and again, they have interest in putting bike racks and lockers around town. They are working on projects, community input as to where to put parking for bikes, and they're doing surveys. Also, there's a greenhouse gas survey that we have an individual that was working on it. And basically from 2002 to 2005 to 2022, our production went down 600 metric tons. So it was a substantial reduction of CO2 emissions during that period of time. Let's see, and almost all of that was from the PG&E, the Green 100 program. So yay, Pioneer also was a part of that. And the City Hall lawn, there is a new legislation by January 1st of 2027, AB 1582 states that all government buildings have to convert lawn into a drought-resistant landscape. And so we're kind of ahead on that. That project is again being worked on through sustainability, but it's been on hold lately because the individual who's working on it had some medical issues. And also, they are looking at rebates through PCWA and the Loomis Master Garden Group. They're trying to do a visit there so they can get some input. There is a radio show that sustainability has been approved by the city manager, and their first one it's going to be every first Friday at 3:30 if you want to tune in. The first one is just going to be basically introducing Auburn sustainability, and it should be an interesting show. It'll be 1 hour. I know, maybe not that long. Actually, I don't know the time, maybe 10 minutes. Who knows? Anyway, solar update. Again, there were I understand there were 4 bids, and that will be coming back maybe in February. Sustainability reported possibly. And that is about it for sustainability and what I attended.
Great, thank you. Okay, for me, I also will be attending Cap to Cap as the mayor, and I will be since Alice is going to be attending the fire portion, I'm going to be attending the economic development portion, so I'll be talking to you before I go out. Along the economic development lines, the branding initiative is moving forward. We've talked through strap lines. We're working on logos, I think is coming up next week. So there's once we get some meat on the bones for those, then we'll be putting that out to the public and getting some more, and letting the public know what's been selected. And then as far as Placer County Economic Development Board, they somehow many of their board appointees were all appointed at the same time, and all of them expired at the same time. They don't really know how that happened. So we had to postpone our meeting that was supposed to be next week, and we're postponing it out while we're sorting out that issue. But I have been meeting, we split up into subcommittees, and I'm on the workforce development subcommittee. So our subcommittee has been meeting. So we're meeting with the head of Jesuit, the head of Sierra College, and talking through how we can work together to do more workforce development training for the area. As far as the school districts, we're still working on getting a appointment with Sean, do you remember, did we reschedule that appointment for the high school district? Are we working on that still?
We did. I think it might conflict with strategic planning session.
Okay.
I gotta double check and make sure that it's not conflicting.
So we're working on scheduling that. And then AUSD, as was noted earlier, they just announced their new boundary lines for the separate 3 K-8 schools. They don't have a plan of how that's going to work. They don't have a plan of how they're going to convert EB Kane over to K-8. They haven't announced what teachers will be going where, and there's a big concern that teachers will be asked to move and will just decide to leave the district to go to a place where they could make more money. Because if they're going to move schools, they might as well go to a place where they could make more. So there's going to be there's a lot of details that are necessary for parents to be able to make a good decision on where their kids are going to go to school next year. And there's no details for anyone to be able to make those decisions. So that's why I'm a little bit concerned, and why I think it'll have a big impact on the city is because if there's unknowns, parents don't like to have unknowns when they're selecting what their kids will be doing for their academics for next year. And so I'm concerned that there's going to be a lot of parents that are looking for alternatives to AUSD because of those unknowns. So that could have a big economic impact on us. It could have a big impact on trying to draw businesses into the area if we have a drastic reduction in enrollment for the next few years because there's so many unknowns around that plan. K could work out great, but there's just no details, so nobody knows. So it's very challenging for most of the people in the school district. And that is it for me. And sorry. No,
I have a question
Yeah.
about the Downtown Business Association soapbox derby. Was that,
It's the Funk Box Derby.
Funky boxes.
You know, with Jimmy.
Funk Box?
Is it
Yes.
Funk Box? Oh, I'm sorry.
Funk Box
Box. I
derby.
like
Yeah,
the-
it's not a soapbox derby, it's Funk
Similar.
Box derby, yeah. Yeah.
Well, you got the idea. Good job.
Box.
And on
With
that
wheels.
note, if there's nothing else, then this meeting is adjourned.
Are we gonna enter our own Funk Box?
We should. Let's work on funk boxing, okay?